Welcome back, everybody, to Flight Path. We are here at the end of webinar week, which is always such a cool, exciting, and exhausting week for us here at Tern. But we're here just like we are every Friday to talk about what happened this week, what shipped, what's new. I'm one of your hosts, David, the CEO and one of the co-founders here at Tern, joined by Brad, our head of design, Molly, our head of product, and we have a lot to talk about today. Before we jump into it, though, go ahead and click on that subscribe button if you haven't already, whether you're watching on YouTube, you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever else you may be listening. Go ahead and subscribe because we ship these every single Friday. And it is, we think, the best way to know what's coming and how you can use the tools that we're building most effectively in your business. So with the intro out of the way, let's kind of start off with a little check-in. Brad, Molly, it's Friday after probably one of the biggest webinars that we've ever done. The webinar hangover might be real. Brad, let's start with you. How is your week? How are you doing today?
Those are two different questions. Today, I'm quite tired. Maybe they're connected. The week was pretty exhausting, but also super exciting yesterday to have the webinar and just I don't know. It's always so much fun to see everyone's reaction to things. We had a little bit extra excitement this time, holding features kind of into the last minute. So there's a bit of that real-time anxiety of being like, are people going to like it? What if they hate it? Oh no. But it was great. And today has been a good recovery day, just finally catching up on all the things I snoozed throughout the week. So I was like, I will deal with that later.
That's where that is a later Brad problem. Molly, how about you?
Man, actually of course, very similar sentiment to Brad as always. Yeah, it was a really exciting week. We literally launched 3 big features, and 2 of those features had 2 sub features within them that we launched. And we were doing slides and practicing talk track and learning a new webinar hosting software. It was a lot. And then, turns out the product doesn't stop just because the webinar happened. So then we have 50 things to get ready for next week. So I am about as loopy as you will ever see me on this podcast. I almost started laughing in your intro for some reason. I actually don't know why. So yeah, it's definitely a webinar hangover mode without actual alcohol involved.
Yeah, I get that. It's pretty funny, my intro, so I can understand why you
really got. It is a little funny. I was picturing you being putting on a lot of energy to fake it so you make it. And, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Molly actually saw before we click record where I literally was like, here we go. So that's that might have been part of it.
Yeah.
I'll echo what Brad and Molly said. I mean, what a fun and amazing week, right? Finally being able to kind of share the big news about kind of the additional resources and funding that we'll have to really build towards our vision. Being able to reveal just so many incredible features that the team's been working so hard on. And it was kind of funny as I was seeing the chat, I sort of made a little bit of a joke during the webinar. I was like, wow, if this is how much we ship in 10 weeks, we may have to start doing webinars every 5 weeks. And I kind of felt that. I mean, it was so much that we were talking about yesterday, and it was just so special to see it all come together. And the kind of behind the scenes is pretty wild. Like Molly said, I mean, we're testing and going through all these things. We're finding surprises the day before, somebody, I think Andrew posted in the Facebook group, he woke up, well, I don't know. He apparently thought about it as he was falling asleep. He posted at 6 a.m. in the Facebook chat, be like, what if we reset free trials for everybody? And I was like, that's a good idea. But how long is that going to take? He's like, I think I can get it done in the next 45 minutes. And so we shipped free trials. It's just so cool. And it's the energy that comes with webinar week, but it is a full on sprint. Brad is making the slides look pretty. We're all learning new stuff. Molly's testing every single thing and getting it ready and wrangling beta users. And I'm trying to figure out the intro video. It's pretty wild, but it's a pretty fun time to see it all kind of come together. So maybe that's our transition into webinar highlights. Kind of reflecting on the webinar, Brad, what we talked about, what we released, kind of anything. What are your reflections from yesterday's big launch?
Yeah, I mean, just like always, it's just such a good reminder of how incredible the community is, both current Tern users, but I think also people who don't really have a relationship with Tern, getting to get a deep dive all at once, just being like, oh wow, people love Tern loves us, like it's all happening. You can like see it happening in real time in the chat, and just like, I don't know, super cool to see all that. And also, it's just fun. Maybe we'll talk about this later. I've not reviewed our entire agenda for this, but I feel like this time more so than maybe some other webinars, we really like reacted to some feedback before the webinar, like got some beta testers and got to make really quick changes. And even like just like hearing the early reactions before the webinar was like just good momentum going into it. Of we shared it in the webinar, but like Scott, one of our beta testers, like basically found bookings he wasn't tracking properly because of the new updates, and like wasn't even necessarily what we were optimizing for, but just like a kind of a fun, like, oh, that's great too, like let's get that in there. Like just always great momentum and a lot of excitement.
Yeah, speaking of the trip overview tab and the beta feedback, I think every one of the people who beta tested mentioned how amazing it would be if there could be one-click copy for confirmation numbers for bookings. And like, this was literally the day before the webinar. And like, Brad and I were in back-to-back like meetings and practice. And I was like, there's absolutely no chance that we're going to be able to fit this in. And Kayla, one of our amazing engineers, just like proposed like 3 different options, didn't wait on us, figured it out, made it happen. And it like blew people's minds. And that it was just like so special. It's really cool. I think during these times of like heightened push and stress, like it's cool to see the team step up even more so than usual. So that was a highlight for me with the overview tab. And I mean, seeing the chat when you were talking about it, Brad, and when you were demoing it, David, because I was just getting to like watch during that piece of it. It was so hyped, that feature.
So cool. And that like whole mentality of the team just surging, right? Like Molly posted in our wins channel in our kind of Slack, which is the internal chat we use, on, was that Thursday morning? I don't know, time is such a blur, but I think it was Thursday morning, and it was like, we shipped everything that we wanted to, including our above and beyond features, which like just doesn't happen, right? Even, I mean, Tern, like we're big fans of like aim for the stars, land on the moon. So like we usually have things like, oh, we'd love to ship that by the webinar, but like that probably won't happen. But like this time it all happened, right? Like we actually had it all come together. It launched the day of. And so huge kudos to the team, you know, to Brad, to Molly, to all the engineers who like just grinded to make this happen. And I think we're going to talk about the chat here, but what I think is really special about our team is like, they're not doing it because, you know, I'm like telling them they have to, you know, work extra hours to do this. They're not doing it because like Molly's checking in and paying them every time. It's like, they're doing it because there aren't that many companies out there where as engineers, you get to build something and then join an event where people actually celebrate it in such a public way like they do in the chat. And that has been so special. I mean, we've had a couple engineering hires who like literally that's what they said they were looking for in their next role. And they're like, you're going to love it here, because there's just like not that many places where you get to do that as an engineer. So, you know, shout out to you, the community, for making these webinars so rewarding and so fulfilling and so motivating for our team. I can't tell you how much we look forward to that chat. Even our investors who joined texted me afterwards and were like, I've never seen a webinar chat like that. So you guys must be doing something right. Like it was really cool.
I think, didn't we also get some press? Someone wrote about it and they were like, this was wild. Like I've never been on a tech webinar that was like this.
Yeah, they're like through the like massive scrolling text, like somebody called Tern their like fairy godmother or something, which I got a kick out of. Like it is, you all are very creative with your chats, which is pretty fun. And speaking of community, I mean, there's a lot of other things out there too. Like people have been posting in the Facebook group. Molly, I think you have some reflections as well.
Yeah. Okay. I think this is one of my favorite things that's ever happened since I've been at Tern, which is a little hyperbolic, but I think it's true. So, I mean, like, think through this with me. It's literally an hour before the webinar. David's kind of like, you know, bullied me into waiting to launch these features until the very last minute, even though my heart rate's going up with every like incremental minute before I launch.
You said you wanted more cardio. You said you wanted more cardio in your life. I'm like,
don't make that count.
So it's like finally an hour before, and I turn on like all 5 of these features, like the 2 sub features on each. And I'm like, okay, it's probably, no one's going to find it before the webinar. It's like an hour until the webinar. 1 minute, like literally 1 minute later, we see Chloe with like, she's like using like little hint terminology about like she found the overview or something like that. I forget exactly how she worded it. I wish I had pulled it up. But then this like 50 comment thread emerges of everyone like jumping in and trying to find all the features that we launched before the webinar. And it became this like Easter egg hunt of like everyone trying to figure out all the things that we launched and then doing like puns and stuff to like hint at what they found. And it was just so fun and cool. Yeah.
I actually have it up here for another reason, but it's like they are folding so many things into this, so moving. And the view that is over everything is wonderful. Like, it's so good.
So amazing. Like, you guys are just the best, like you advisors. Like you're just so amazing. So that was really fun. It was such a good way to like go into the webinar too with that like positive momentum bolstering us to talk about all these things. So that was definitely a highlight for me.
And folders. I mean, speaking of folding things in, I mean, that was amazing. I think my favorite part of the webinar was I had my other computer up, and as you were talking about folders, I was like putting in all caps. I was like, before you teed it up, I was like, it's tags. And then you're like, introducing folders. I thought that was funny. I didn't get any reactions to it, so I'm going to try it again here. But what do you think about folders, Molly?
I think that the joke didn't land twice, but
Okay. We'll just edit this out.
Okay, folders. I mean, it's just one of those things. Like we knew people wanted folders, but I think even we were blown away by just how excited everyone was. I think at this point, almost 1,000 folders have been created, which is like wild. Like how are you all doing it that quickly? That is incredible. And then so one like little inside scoop for our podcast listeners, we had a set of features with folders, and the team that's building it really needs to move on to some other stuff. We're still going to add it to every single other library item type for sure. But we basically made a tough decision to descope subfolders. And we're like, we can come back to that if we're seeing enough demand for it, but we just don't have time in our immediate roadmap. And then our tech lead, Zach, who was owning that project, saw enough people talking about subfolders in the chat, and he just stayed up like all night last night and just built subfolders. like we're gonna be, I mean, we still have a little bit to do to like test it and add a little more polish, but early next week we should be able to launch subfolders, which is just like wild. Like we thought we were gonna have to come back to that later. Just another like, I mean, how cool is our team? That's just crazy.
Did he actually not tell you he was doing this?
I swear to God, because
were you suspicious when he was like up until 2 a.m.?
He's also my husband, so like I
was like, are we bearing the lead here? It's like there's a reason that Molly knew that he was exactly what time he went to bed.
My mom's staying with us, and so we're giving him the gift of sleep this week because we have a 4-month-old. So he's sleeping in another room so he can actually sleep. So I legitimately had no idea. Like I woke up and was as surprised as all of you this morning.
Wow. He's like, I don't need this gift. You know what I need? Subfolders. But I mean, it's such a good point of like just the motivation the team gets, right? For like seeing the need, leaning in, solving the problem, and like seeing the reaction to it. So, wow. Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, just what an incredible team we have. And packing lists were also such a hit. Like that was so fun to see people, like that was another surprise P-webinar. People have been using that like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and this one was a total Jade. I know a lot of you listening know Jade. She's like the best product person ever. She was the one who kind of led this project. And I mean, people have already created almost 200 packing lists. Like we literally launched it yesterday. Wow. And it was cool to see her. Like I had a similar experience when I was testing destination guides where I was like experimenting with different things and just being like blown away by how awesome it was. And it was cool to see her kind of going through that same thing with packing lists of like, oh my God, I tried this and it came back with this. And she was sharing all the examples with the team. So that's been really fun to see her leading that project too.
Well, and it's like kind of this other, like we've talked about AI in the past, but like I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but it is sort of wild these like AI projects, because we'll build them, we'll like test it for a certain set of use cases, and in most like normal features, like we just know sort of the boundaries of that, right? But we'll like ship AI features, and you all are like, well, I wonder if this will work. I wonder if this will work, and you like start to find things that we never would have imagined would work. So Chloe, shout out again to Chloe, I think found one, right, Molly? You want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, I think this wins the award. We should ship her some sort of award for like the coolest destination guide prompt yet. She figured out with the new Google Maps feature that she could have it plan our destination guide feature. If you don't know, when you're building a trip, you can like ask it to create a destination guide. She planned a Yellowstone road trip, and she asked it to have a Google Maps like directions, and it has like every point in the road trip on the same Google Maps links for her client. And she shared it to Facebook, and it blew everybody's minds. And I know we did this whole bit where like I'm the prompt engineer, so I would like to officially like hand over my crown to Chloe. You know, I was the senior prompt engineer. She's now my VP of prompt engineering. Like, you were amazing. That was like so cool to see.
So cool. Brad, any other reflections, thoughts on the webinars, things that you thought were cool that you want to call out?
Actually, I was blown away by the reaction to the signature integration too. Like, I really didn't know what to expect there. Like, we don't talk all that often about consortia. Like, I don't know, it's just not a thing we've talked about publicly a whole lot. And I think it was cool to see people in the chat being like, oh my gosh, we want it for our consortia. And they're like scheming to be like, who do we email? Like, how do we like make this happen? So again, just super cool, kind of like the collaborative nature of a lot of this stuff. Like we announce things, we're like, oh, also I want that to do this. Like, how do we push to make that happen? It's just always really exciting.
Yeah, that was really, really cool. And yeah, it was also just neat. I mean, like having third parties sort of interacting with our team and like calling out how awesome they are to work with, I thought was pretty cool. Like, mentioned this piece, and it was, I think, easy to miss over because it was such a small segment and there's so many things. But she's like, we would give Tern the requirements, and Tern would take the requirements, actually simplify them further from the user perspective, and then like ship the thing in a way that like, I'm paraphrasing, like we've never seen before, right? Like, and so you have this kind of like incredible sync. And I was just like, yes, like that is our team, right? Like we will take that. We'll be like, we don't love that for our users, so we'll make that better, but you'll still get what you need, right? And I thought that was just like really cool.
Yeah, we had a fun little call with Enid and an engineer from their team being like, so we want to do this kind of weird thing that's not in your docs, but like we think it'll be simpler. Can we pull this off? And we kind of had to all sit there and be like, all right, what would break? How would this work? And yeah, so glad that we were able to cut out like quite a few setup steps by kind of being creative with how we use their API and got their approval to do it too. So
love that.
Ended up in a really cool spot.
Collaborative innovation, we'll call that.
Sounds good.
Okay, well, we are, webinar has just been all consuming, right? So maybe the kind of last thing that's, or maybe not last thing, but one of the other kind of big things we announced, obviously, was our Series A fundraising, which was pretty exciting to kind of share that news. But we won't kind of rehash all of that, but in the spirit of the kind of behind the scenes look here, we've actually been a venture-backed startup since day one. Nick Kim, who actually we may have on as like a guest star on a podcast at some point for people to be able to meet, since he wasn't able to be there yesterday, was the kind of first investor before when Brian, Katie, and I were literally just like an idea. And he was like, I just believe in you all. I believe in this space. And like, here's the funding that you need to start building the team. And so this is really actually kind of an extension of that. That was sort of our seed round back in 2023. The Series A is a much larger kind of infusion to help us accelerate and to move forward. And people have asked us in the past, like a couple different things that led us to actually making the announcement yesterday. Because we probably, without this input, would have been content to just not distract people about some funding or big numbers or anything like that. But we had more and more agency owners, particularly larger hosts, who are like, if I'm going to move my business over to this back office system, like I need to know they're going to be around for 20 years, right? I need to know that they can invest in the areas I need them to invest in to trust with my business. And this funding just gives us so much more stability, allows us to really kind of invest in key areas that are expensive, like GDS integrations and these types of things that do have very real costs. And so we wanted to announce it from those reasons. We also wanted you all to know what you can expect from Tern, right? Like this is not slowing down. We are getting faster. We are going to continue to improve our support. We're going to continue to innovate at a pace that you've never seen before. And so that's why we sort of decided to share the news. But kind of in the back of our head, we were kind of anxious about it. Like we've seen like one or two other examples of other companies that were sort of like announced funding. It's not super well understood in the travel industry, like what venture is, and is it like Shark Tank, or is it like they're getting bought and now that like some unknown shadow company owns them? Like it's just like a lot of unknowns. And so we were like, we really want to make people understand what this is and what it isn't. And so it was so cool having Ryan and Drew join the webinar yesterday to actually like show how much love they have for this type of industry, how much love they have for the advisor. And it was the first time that I'd ever actually heard them say like one of the criteria they look for in their investments is founders who just love the advisor. Like it doesn't work if you don't love the advisor. And I was like, that's actually cool that we like so clearly give off those vibes. But I'll like leave this and we'll kind of open up, Brad, Molly, anything you want to add here. But like we were sort of in the announcements, we actually got an email from somebody as we were kind of going through some of the beta tests, and they were like, well, I hope this means you're not selling out. And I was like, this is exactly my anxiety about announcing fundraising, right? Because there are industries where when you sell control. And that is not what is happening in venture. In venture capital, they are investing. They own a small percentage of the business. And Drew said this. It was really cool that he said this first. Like they own a small percentage of the business. They do not have any decision-making power. And what's cool about Tern is like we have 3 founders with 3 board seats. That's very unique, which means we still control the board. We control comment. We control all the decision-making. And so you will not see some third-party shadow puppet controlling this. You'll see the exact same decisions, the exact same commitment to all of you that you've seen over the past 2.5 to 3 years. We'll just have more resources to go faster and serve you better. And so that's really what that was about. And Brad, Molly, anything you want to kind of chime in with or add?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's kind of cool is a lot of the team at Tern have kind of done this before. So like you were employee number 1 at a past company, Handshake. I think I was like 15 or something. Brad, you were like 8 or I don't know, 4 or 5. I don't even know. But we were
intern
all
number 1, like, yeah. And then full first time designer, right? Yeah.
Yeah. We were like all very early and saw it scale to like 600 to 800 people. And like we got to see firsthand what can go really well and then also what breaks and what doesn't go well. And so I guess I'm just so excited to be building this from like a leadership perspective now and to just like very intentionally grow the team and make sure that we can maintain the same quality, pace, just like parallelize more things and like do that so intentionally. And so I don't know, I'm really, really excited. And I just believe in this team that we can like do this well. And yeah, like you said, David, it's like, I think what you can expect is the bar to stay just as high, but us to move like even faster on all fronts you care about, support, like all of those things. So I don't know, I'm fired up. I'm really excited.
I'm fired up too. The thing I have to keep reminding myself of though is like, oh, just because we like raise the money doesn't mean all these things are automatically faster and better. I'm like, oh, we like announced the Series A. Now we can do, 4 times the amount of work. And it's like, actually, no, we have to like hire these people and get them on board. So there's like, actually feels more painful for me right now. That's like, I know we will be able to do all of this and all these requests are like super valid, but like, you just have to like build the team in order to be able to actually move at the pace we want. So
build the right, like it takes a while to find the right people who not only don't like lower our quality bar, but like keep leveling us up. And that's what we're doing. And so that does take time, but that is what's going to help us scale effectively and not like lose momentum as we get bigger.
And I think both those points are so important. I use this kind of weird analogy of like, you kind of hire people, you spend a ton of time ramping them, you get the machine really, really humming, right? It's like fine-tuned, it's going great. Then you bring new people in. and it's like dropping a bunch of marbles into the machine, which, always get this reaction. And it's just like everything is a mess. And it takes a while to like get the machine going again with the new, the new ads. And then you do, and then it's like, okay, time to grow again. Right. And it's like that over and over again. And so practically what that means for you listening is that this is, to Brad's point, like not an overnight transition. It's not like suddenly it's like, oh, big announcement, Tern has a bunch more resources. All of a sudden, everything will be perfect, right? Like this is the start of us investing in more resources and improving these different things, but it will take time to hire, to find the right people, to train and onboard them. This is a complex product, a complex industry, right? So a lot of times we're finding incredible talent that doesn't necessarily know travel, but they are exceptional at the thing we need them to be exceptional at. And we have to teach them how to do that here. And that takes a while, right? So you will see consistent increase in pace, but it will not be like a step change overnight. It will be slow and steady acceleration. All right.
But you know what else is never going to change, David? Your incredible analogies that bring us so much joy. And
by incredible, he means really bad, and they give us joy because we like to make fun of it.
I know. I do need to think of what I have in my head every time I talk about the marble thing is like when I was a kid, I had this like jet ski, which was one of my big acts of rebellion. My parents hated jet skis. They were boaters, and like this is such a niche story, but I like with my 3 jobs I was working in high school, I bought this used jet ski for like $600, and I was so proud of it. And one day the oil like tube thing came off and it just blew up the whole engine. And it took a ton of work to get the engine back in. And I'm like, if you would have dropped a marble in that engine, it would have had the same effect. And so I don't know where the marble came from. That was not in the story, but that's what's in my head with the analogy. So
somehow
now you get that.
Worse. I think
somehow worse. Yeah, fair. So anyway, we're really time constrained. I'm glad I fit that story in. But so anyway, let's move on because that's like tight. Everything got packed into this Friday because, everything else was webinar focused this week. So let's do a rapid fire week ahead. It's hard to think about next week, but what's going on next week, Brad? What are you focused on?
I'm working on group stuff, thinking about supporting variable occupancy rates, variable dates for like selecting when you're going to be actually attending something like a destination wedding and how we handle all that kind of complexity. And then, that's kind of my biggest focus among many other things. Still digging out of the hole of ignoring things this week for the webinar.
I had my email snooze. It was just like, woke up this morning, I'm like, oh no. But anyway, Molly, what's your week ahead look like?
Well, we're going to be shipping the ability to share a top level folder so that all the items within it are shared. That's going to be amazing. We're going to be shipping hopefully subfolders because of Zach. We're also going to be adding folders to a bunch of other library item types over the next few weeks. So I'll be kind of coordinating that. And then one other cool thing is we're actually able to pull forward some of our mobile improvements on the client side and then following that on the advisor side. And so a mobile web to start, but like mobile app also is very high on our radar as soon as we can feel like we can appropriately resource that. So I'm going to be like starting to write some specs for improving some of that stuff, which will be really fun. It's an area that we feel like we've underinvested in to date. And so we really want to invest consistent resources to do that.
So exciting. My week back on the road, heading out Sunday morning for PATH, the Professional Association of Travel Hosts, which is in Salt Lake City right before ASTA, the American Society of Travel Advisors Conference. So we've got 6 days of conferencing coming up next week, maybe 5 days, but fly out Friday morning, fly there Sunday morning, fly out Friday. We have an action-packed schedule, so we'll be at PATH, which is kind of more like discussion-based. We're teeing up a bunch of meetings on Tuesday with Ryan. So one of our investors from Viewpoint's actually flying to Salt Lake City to spend time with the community and with the space. And so meeting with a bunch of agency owners and agent advisors and hosts, which will be really fun. Then Wednesday night, we are hosting a kind of networking cocktail party right across from the hotel as soon as the awards are done. So if you're in Salt Lake or you're attending ASTA, definitely check that out. If you go to our website, go to events, it's pinned at the top of the event. You'll find events under resources. So Tern.travel, resources, events, it's right there. Or come find us at the trade show and we will give you a little card with details on the event. So back on the road, and that'll be fun. Super excited to be back at ASTA for our 4th time, which is kind of wild. Pretty insane. Any closing thoughts before we wrap?
I mean, just another big thank you to our community for making Webinar Week so special.
Maybe we cut this into the beginning of the podcast, but spoiler alert, if you haven't watched the webinar already, go watch that first and then come back and listen to this podcast. That's
a good point.
Good warning at the end, because
good warning. Unhear everything that you just heard. Go and watch them and then come back.
If you still haven't watched it, go watch it now. It was great.
There we go. That's perfect. Yeah, maybe we'll try and cut that in at the beginning as a little warning. All right. Thank you all for tuning in, and thank you for your endless support. We are grateful to be a part of this community. We are grateful to be building for each and every one of you. We are grateful to be in the travel industry. It is an incredibly special week and one of celebration. Go ahead and click that subscribe button. Let us know what you think in the comments. Watch the webinar. That's your homework for the week. We will see you next week. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks all.